Hello everyone, Weary Bard here with you once again, and welcome back to another video in our TNT, the Total Newbie Training video series. With the last ones we talked about races and classes, a little bit of adventuring, and I thought it would make sense to kind of run through quickly the UI and how to navigate it around a little bit, because it's kind of scattered once you first start. So I can show you what I use. I just use the standard one, the game UI. There's other folks that download other UIs that make it look all pretty and everything. But you know, I'm pretty satisfied with the way I set mine up, and I'm going to show you what I do, and you can take it from there. But I'll at least get the main ideas of about what boxes and what places do what and how you can manipulate them to the best of my knowledge anyways. So I created a character, and it's just a character to show you this. So when you pop into the game after creation, it's going to look something similar like to this here, and your boxes and your controls are kind of scattered around your screen. So one of the first things that you'll see over here on the right hand side top is a kind of a tips window. And it's kind of neat because it gives you tips on how to play the game and many other things. It's nice. I actually get rid of it because I've been playing the game for a while. But if you're new to the game, it's kind of handy to keep up. So you can hover over the top of it and move it to the top of the screen or wherever you would like that to be pop up. And then whenever you do things in the game, it'll pop back up and give you a tip about what it sees you're trying to do. So it's kind of neat. But if you don't want to use it, I click both of these little squares here that says don't show this tip again and don't show any tips, and I close the window. There'll be another one that pops up here in a little bit, but we can get rid of that as well too. So that takes care of the tips window. On the bottom, you'll see over on the bottom left, you'll see a kind of a skills button grouping, and I usually move that to the center. I kind of move everything to the center until I've gotten things to where I want them to be, because it's easier to organize them. So I move the songs window, which you can see right here. I move the effects window, and that window is going to show you your buffs, and I'll get into more details on these windows here as we move them around and get them into their proper placings. That's your character's info, kind of a quick screen. Then you have a group window over here, and then you have your target window, and right now I've got myself targeted, so that's me. And then down here, your actions window. So I move everything kind of towards the center. And then the first thing I start with is my chat window. So this is a main chat window. You can move it around. You can resize it to however you want it. You can make it long. You can make it wide. You can make it taller and whatnot. You can also affect change the effects of it too. So you can change the background color, you can change the opacity, or however you want to say that. So it could be a clear screen window, so you can see all the way through it and just see the text. So you can do whatever you want to with this. We'll get into that a little bit more too, but I move this all the way to the left. And the reason why is because I like to run more than one chat window, because I like to segregate what comes up in what window, so it's easier to read when you're in a group or when you're in a raid and there's so much going on, or if you're in a city and you can move your personal tells to one window, you can move all the emotes to another window if you're RPing, things like that. So, and you can make as many of these windows as you want to. So I'll show you how to do that. If you hover over the top of where it says main chat, you can right click. And you know what, I'm going to move this up a little bit so you all can see a little bit better in the center. So if you right click, you'll see a whole menu open up. And here's where you can set the window's background. You can set the background texture, the tint color, and the alpha, and that's that opacity that I was talking about. And you can set that alpha for the normal level, meaning when it's currently, it's normal faded level, the faded level is underneath that. So you can change it to, if you hover over it, it's going to be one opacity, and if you don't hover over it, if it's just its normal, it will be another opacity. So kind of neat. You can lock the window so it can't be moved, and you can go down here, you can rename the window. You can if you click always chat here, no matter if you hit enter, go to type, it's always going to show up in that window when you type it. So, and then you have filters down here. We're going to get into those here in just a little bit. So the first thing that I like to do is I make a new chat window. In fact, I make a couple of them. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of them, and then I'm going to move them into position, and I'm going to show you what I do with them. Obviously you're free to do what you want to with them, but I'll show you how I do them and why. So that's my main chat, and then I actually rename that. and I call it whatever. I call it miscellaneous because that's where I do put my miscellaneous stuff in here. My second window I rename to main, and you can put chat if you want to. And my third window is, I'm sorry, I'm playing in windowed mode because I have two screens on and this game doesn't allow me to do a full screen. So some of the things are going to be popping up, and that's why you can see the bottom of my screen down there, my taskbar. So I'm going to rename this window to auction, because when I'm in the city or when I'm in the East Commons where the auctions are going on, there tends to be so many of them. I want them in a separate window so I can just segregate that and not have to see it and lose track of what I'm trying to do. So I move my main chat into place down here, and I make it a little bit wider, about to there probably, because that's where all your main stuff. I put my group in there, my raid, and all the major impact stuff. And then I move the auction over here. And I leave a little space over there because I put my group in there depending on what class I'm playing. So, and again, I make them a little bit thinner so they're not taking up as much of my screen, but you can do it however you want to. And I do that there. So one thing that I do with my main window is I filter everything that I want into it. So again, remember I said we have filters here. I'm going to move it up a little bit so you can see those in the drop-down menu better. So if you go to filters, you can select any of these to go to this window. So if I select say, it's all going to go to this window. Okay? And I set those filters however I want them. I put my tells, I put all my main stuff into this one. So that's how you do that. You can go down to melee. You can even segregate what type of melee information you want to this window, or what type of spells information you want to this window. So there's a lot of customization available here. The other thing that you can do, like I said, you can click here and you're always going to chat here. So no matter what I type, it's always going to go into that window. Okay, just like that. And then you can also set it to a channel that you want. So right now it's set to say. So if I don't type a backslash anything, I just hit enter and I type in what I want to, it's going to come out in say. So everybody around me is going to be able to hear that. But I can set that to group so that when I'm in this, when I go to just to chat and I hit just enter, it's automatically going to put it in a group. So if I say hello all right now, it's going to tell me I'm not in a group, and it told me that over here. Probably down, all the way down here. See, talking to yourself, you're not in a group. But that's because I set this to group, so even when I just type enter and type, it's going to go in a group. Now, if I was in a group, it would automatically put it in the group. But if I wanted to manually do that, it's backslash group, or backslash raid, or backslash whatever, tell. So you can set those by, picking a channel, and you can pick say, you can pick tell, you can pick group, you can pick raid, guild, OOC, auction, however you want to do that. And you can change that according to where you're at. Let's say you're sitting in an EC tunnel all weekend or whatever, trying to sell your wares and make some money, play the market. You can set that to auction, and it's automatically going to type in auction for you. That way you don't have to do backslash auction the whole time you're selling. So a couple neat things about the windows there. So I like that. And then I put them all in position, and then my windows are done once I've set all those filters. Okay. Now the other thing that I like to do is I make one last chat window, and I name it combat. And what I like to do, since every hit you make, if you're in a group, every hit everybody else is gonna make, every hit the monster makes, every miss you do, every miss your group mates do, every miss your monster do, all of that combat information is gonna start scrolling in your main window. And I don't like that, so I move all that to my combat window and leave in my main window only the ones that I need to see. If my spell fizzles, or if I miss, or if somebody's beating on me, those kind of things that I need information to react to, I want in there. But if Joe Schmo's spell doesn't hit, I don't need to know that, so I put it in this window, and then I condense that window to pretty small, and I move it up here somewhere out of the way, so that if I want to see it, I can see it, it's there, but it's out of my way and out of my main window and not cluttering things up. Okay, so that's what I do with my windows, my chat windows. I segregate them all out so I can parse the information quickly and effectively. And then I start moving my other windows into place. Now, I'm a warrior, so I don't need to really quickly select anybody in my group as a warrior very often. So I tend to move my group window over here out of the way. when I'm if I'm a cleric, I might want to move it over here so I can click on somebody really quick with my cursor. But there's also other ways to target. You can hit the F1 through F5 or F6 keys on your keyboard to also select people in your group too. So that's another way that you don't have to actually click them. But as a healer, I tend to like to have this handy so I can click on somebody quickly. But since I'm a warrior, I don't need to target them very often. I'm going to put that over there. Okay. So your effects windows, your effects window and your song windows, as you can see, they're very clear and opaque. Oh yeah, they're clear. I tend to not even use the song window, because even when a bard plays a song, it's going to show up in your effects window. So you know what? I close the song window. You can always bring it up later. I can show you how to do that again. And then I make the effects window skinnier, because that's right about the size the icon's going to fit in there. I leave it the length that it shows up as at first, and then I move it all the way to the right. And that's where my buffs are going to show up. Now, you can move it wherever you want to. You can show it however you want to. But that's where I just want it up out of the way, because I like as much of a clear screen when I'm playing as I can to view everything that's going on around me. So I move, this is my character's information, so I'll move that over to the left a little bit so it's kind of out on my screen. Now, if I was a caster of some sort, there would also be a spell bar. And it's about the length of this, but it's only not as wide as this, so I will move it all the way over here to the left too, because again, there are keys, the 1 through 8 keys are what actually cast those spells in those spell gems, so I don't need to click on it when it's way over there. So this is my target window, so if I target myself, it shows up there. So I like to keep that down where I can see it, because that's telling me information about my target. So if I'm battling a monster, it's going to tell me its health. Okay, and I want to see that kind of readily available there in front of me, so I leave it right about there. This is a skills window. Both of these are kind of actions and skills. So as you can see, they are set up in kind of blocks, and they're numbered. So this is number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, all the way down. And you can set these up to almost whatever you want to. I'm going to take the melee attack out of there. If you click and hold, it picks it up, and I take that out of right away, because I'm going to show you a little trick later with one of your skills to be able to skill it up and work that skill without actually clicking the button. In order to do that, I set a setting in the key bindings, and if my melee is in that first spot, once I've set that key binding, the melee will automatically turn on every time I turn right. And if I have, like, the Priest of Discord mistakenly targeted when I turn right, it's going to attack him, and we don't want that. So I take that out of there first. And as a warrior, I will be using bash and taunt and kick and a range attack. I never use this sit button, but it's there, so if you want to sit, you can press the button to sit, and once you do, it turns to stand, so then you can stand back up. I tend not to use it. I set it to a key. I also have it bound to the Z key on my keyboard, so I can do it that way too. Find, I have really honestly never found any benefit to the find skill in the game yet. There might be, and if you know one, please comment below and let me know, because in my 16 years of playing this game, I've never really found any much benefit to it. So if you wanted to do a new one, then you would come over to here to your actions. Okay, so your main action bar here, this is your main page here. You see the tabs up on the top there. You can click abilities and combat abilities and your socials. Okay, so we'll get into those in a second here. But your main page, there's find again. I don't take that off there because I don't know how to take these off. But if you were to click on another player, the invite would highlight, and you can invite them. If you're in a group, you can disband from here. Okay. But you can also see those down at the bottom of the group window too, invite and disband. So they're there as well too. So the only one I really use on this right here, this first page, is camp, because then when you camp out of the game, you have to sit and then you can camp. See? All right. So that's the first page, and I never really use them. I don't use walk, but you can do that. You can cycle through the run or the walk, and I also set that to a keybind too. I set that to my the key next to the numlock key on my number board. So I really only use camp on this first page, but you might be different and you can use what you like to. So if you click on the second one, this is the abilities page. Okay, so from here, if you just click one of them, you can select a skill to bind to that key. Okay, so we're going to put sense heading in there. Okay, and as a warrior, we definitely want bind wound to heal ourselves up. And then, you know, we can do fishing, we can do begging, we could do taunt. Taunt's already over there. Inspect and open. So if you have a door targeted, the open will open it, things like that. But, you know, if you just right click on the door, it's going to open anyway. So a lot of these I don't use, but bind wound, sense heading, and then later on fishing are the ones that I definitely use. So we'll put fishing in one of them too. So then once they're there, you can either use them here, or you can click and hold. Once again, it picks it up, puts it on your cursor, and then you can drag it over and drop it into one of the numbered ones that you want to use. These over here are not numbered, so if you hit number 1, it's not going to hit this, it'll hit this. So if I hit number 1 right now, it's going to try to do sense heading. Okay, but the other thing that's cool is I have this number 1 right here also bound to my D key. So every time in the D, as you know, ADWS is forward, back, left, and right. So the D key is turning right. So every time I turn right, it's going to automatically press that as well too. And I'll show you where I do that. I might as well show you just now. So if you were to hit Alt plus W, it brings up that window selector screen way at the top there. I like to keep that open because it has some interesting things that you can do with it. Some of the things don't apply to 1999, but you know, they were very useful. Like the map, we don't have a map. The guild manager, we don't have guild in this game here. The song window, this is where you can turn it back on. You can turn it off. You can also turn your effects window on and off here. Your pet info is right there, but if you are a class that can generate a pet or charm a pet, that's going to pop up anyway, so I don't leave it open. Combat abilities, you can do these here too, so you can use this as well. I've never actually used it, but it's just one more window that I don't need open because I put everything here that I need to. And then your friends, you can open up your friends, and this does work in this game, so you can definitely do friends, and it's just / friends, and you can add them and find out who's on. But here's your options window, and this is going to bring up your options window, which has many things you can change. All across the top is your display, your general tab, your display tab, your mouse tab, keys, filters, colors, and mail. I think mail is the only one that I've never messed with. I don't even know if it works in this game, but I never mess with it. You can set your colors here of your text, and the neat thing that with EverQuest and Project 1999 is once I set this text color, it sets it for every character I ever make. So it's in your EQ files. So it's not class specific, it's not even account specific, it's across the board, because I'm on my second account right now for these kind of tutorials. So even though I set it on my other account, it's saved in the file so that it's the same color of text on any character that I create on any account. So you can set those to whatever color you want, and there's plenty of them to mess with here. So I've got them all set, and that's what's nice, that it's across the board. You don't have to set it every character, because as you can see, there's a lot of them. So once it's set, it's good. You can set some filters here, and here's the key binding. So if you click on the key binding, you have many different aspects that you can change here in your categories. You can change your movement ones, you can change your commands, like auto attack and things like that, and you can set these to whatever you want, whatever makes sense to you, whatever you like to do. And I'm sure if you've played other games, there's probably a setting that you like. So you can set it here, spell casting target. You can do camera, and all these are I think these are pretty much the default. I don't change these that much. F9 is the one I use a lot, because if I hit F9 right now, it toggles my camera out into different ones. I get different options. Chase camera. This is first person, so you can change that there. Your chat, you can say hail just simply by hitting the H key. You can send a tell by hitting tell, and then it brings it up. R is reply, things like that. So you can set all that in here. You have a little manipulation of your UI and what what toggles what windows. So you can change all of that in here too. I don't mess with it a whole lot. I think there's one or two that I might have changed, but not much. Here's where you set your hotbar, okay, and your hot button, and you can set an alternate key for it. So in order for me to get this set here, my hot button, my key pressed D, and I set the alternate to 1. That means it's going to hit this number 1 every time I hit the D key. So every time I hit the D key, it's going to try and do my sense heading. Okay. So that's where you set that, your hot button and your activities button or your skills button number 1 over here. So now every time I do that, it's going to work up my sense heading skill. And that's something you want to do because, you know, when you're playing, you're battling mobs and you're running around the world, it's going to be a pain in the butt to try and remember to hit sense heading every so often. I think it comes up within like 15 seconds, not even 10 seconds. So, but if I'm turning right, every time I turn right, it's going to do it. So it works up that skill very fast, and it takes a long time to work that skill up to a place to where you're going to be able to tell what direction you're heading all the time, but this is the quickest way to do it. So I like that. So moving along on the top of the options here, you got your mouse, and you can set all your mouse settings here. You can set your display settings here, your gamma, your far clip plane, and you can do all kinds of things. You can show your helm, you can switch to full screen, and here's your video mode. So anything display oriented is in this tab. And then you have a general. So you can set a lot of things like auto split. You can set yourself to anonymous. You can set yourself to role playing. Things like that. So the AAs, they don't apply to this game. That's advanced alternate advancement, which is in EQ Live, but not in Project 1999. But one of the biggest things on general is your sound realism, your music volume, and your sound volume. So that kind of sound stuff is right here. So that is the options key. And once again, you can click it by that little nut right there. And if you hover over it, it tells you options. You can also do Alt-O. So if you did Alt-O, it opens up the options too. So if you're ever in question what these do, you hover over it, it's going to tell you. Alt-F will open up your friends. Okay. And then that's your actions window, which is over there. You can see it blinking as I hit that. I just leave that open. So that's how to set those keys and bind them. And then you can move these around to however you want them, and you can set those numbers to any key that you want to on the keyboard, so it automatically does it if you like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way to 10, and that is the 1 through the 0 on your top row of keys up there on your keyboard. So that's how to bind those. And that's this window here. And as you can see, you have several pages in which to do that. You have, I think, is there a total of 10? Yes, there's 10 of them. So you can set a lot of them, but you just have to scroll through them to use them too. So let's talk a little bit about the rest of this action window. So you have those set. I just leave those be now. The combat page you can use here too. You can leave that up if you're a melee. So you can use your melee attack here. You can use your ranged attack here, and you can move these around too. So you can set this up however you like to if you're melee, if you prefer to do it that way. But I like to use less clicking and more keystrokes on my keyboard because it's quicker, and most gamers are that way. So over here on the socials tab, as you can see, they're blank, and you again have 9, 10 pages of these to go through. Number 1 is there. Number 2 is blank. So you have certain things that you can use here automatically that are a default. So you can hit AFK, and now I'm AFK. If I hit it again, I'm no longer AFK. Anonymous, you can say hail to somebody, which means hello. And I'm going to untarget him just in case. Feedback, you can send feedback, and I'm not sure. I know in live that works. It sends it to the development team, but I'm not sure if it works here in Project 1999. So for whatever that's worth, it's probably best to go on the forums if you need to get a hold of them. You can turn auto split on with your group, so it automatically splits the money that you pick up. You can turn it back off. You can see how long you've played your character. I've played actually 5 hours now, which is a little bit off because I don't think I've been playing 5 hours, but in 0 years so far on this character. And then you can do a bug report. You can see what time it is. It tells you the date and the time, in game as well. It's 4 a.m. In the year 3114. You can consider somebody. So if I press that, you can consider them. It tells you what level they are. It tells you in a color code. So if they're red, you definitely know they're well above your level. If they're yellow, they're pretty risky. If they're white, they're even to you. Blue, they're slightly below you. And green, they're enough below you that you're probably not going to get XP for them. So we call it CON, C-O-N, short for consider. So A GM list, I don't think that works. Maybe it does. I don't know if there's if it lists any GMs or not. You can click on somebody and click duel, and it challenges them to a duel, or you can wave to them. And I just wave to the priest of discord there. So, so that's the default window. If you scroll over one more, you can see that they're blank. But if you right-click on one, it opens up that that social box there, and then you can name it whatever you want to. There are several that I use. One of the ones that I use definitely is called Train. And like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier on in one of the other videos that, let's say you're in Blackburrow, the dungeon Blackburrow, and you know, it has one entrance and one exit, and they're choke points, and people like to group there. So let's say you're deep in the middle of it or deep down inside, and you pull a bunch of mobs your group can't handle, and you're running to zone them. Well, you want to warn everybody that you're coming through with a large train because it's going to jump them too. So I name this button that, and I do a back. This is where you type in the text that you want to do and what command you want to do it in. So I'll do a shout, and I will shout train to zone choo choo. And I make that in red. It'll show up in red here, and then you hit accept, and then there it's there. Okay, and you can do that by right-clicking on any one of these that you want to do it. So you can put it wherever you want to, wherever's handy. And I leave this open a lot so that I can have it handy there to you. So if I were to hit that right now, it's going to yell, it's going to shout, train to zone. Wrong button. I'm going to tell everybody that was the wrong button. It was just a false alarm. There's not a train coming to the zone here in Kinos. But that's how you set that. It's one of the ones that I set. The other ones that I set are, this is LOC, L-O-C, and it stands for location. I usually turn that a nice color. And then if you type in LOC and hit accept. So this is very handy because it tells you your location, and you can see it in your coordinates on your window there. It's very handy for when you know you're about to die. You're running and you know you're about to die, and you stop and say, okay, I give up, I can't, there's nothing I can do, I'm going to die here. You hit loc right before you die, and then you'll be able to get back to that location, and find your body, because obviously you might be in an unfamiliar territory, or you might be somewhere you're not really sure where exactly you died. So all you gotta do is remember that loc that you hit right before you died, write it down, and then as you're running, it's going to change, and then you can locate your body by clicking that button repeatedly. So it's going to tell you everywhere you're at. So, and the final one that I definitely always use, I keep up here handy, you can make it any color you want to, is corpse. Okay. And if you do in the command line here, /corpse, it will allow you to drag your corpse. So if you click on your corpse and you hit that corpse, it's going to drag your corpse to you. So you can drag it out of the way. Let's say you're hidden or you're invised, you can drag your corpse out of the way of danger. So you can drag it along with you. Now, the other neat thing that this is good for is if somebody consents you to drag their corpse because they died and they're across the world, but you want to drag their corpse to the zone line for a resurrection, they can consent you, and you can drag their corpse by doing that too. So those are the three main ones, but as you can see, there's many other things you can do with this. You can tell your group all kinds of things. I do like 50 mana, so I tell my group that I have 50 mana left, just to let them know, let the puller know, hey, I'm only at half mana. And I do that with 50, I do it with 30, and then LOM, which is low on mana. That's for my group, things like that. So when I'm on my enchanter, I do a one for the creatures that I've mesmerized. So I would tell them that such and such is mesmerized, please don't attack. So just so that it kind of helps the group communicate a little bit better, and they know what's going on as far as logistics. So that's the action bar. And I think that is pretty much how I have everything set up. Once again, you can change all this stuff to whatever best suits your gameplay. Like I said, you can make these windows all, pretty much gone if you'd like to. If you do an alpha and then you do a normal level, you can change that opacity level to, let's say, 0. Okay, so there it is clear. You can still see the text, but you can still see through it too. So a lot of folks will like to do that with their windows because it actually opens up the, let's see, if I do a 0 here, it actually opens everything up. And then when if you can set it to, you know, be 0 like that, so it's clear, the window's still there, you'd see auction text if it came up. But if you scroll over it, it's dark too, so you can leave it that way. Or if you go back in there and you do the alpha on the normal level and change that to 0, it's always going to be see-through like that. It's never going to change even if you hover over it. So things like that open up your window, your screen to the, you know, bigger picture. And then you can do that with the group, you can do it with these, and everything will still show up. All the text will still show up so you can see it. A little bit harder to navigate sometimes, but it will really open up your screen too. So the last thing I want to show you is I have that camera angle set up there, the camera manipulator set up to F9. So if, this is first person view, just like you and I see in a real world. But if I hit F9, that's kind of a top-down camera angle, which I never have really played in. You can move it back and forth, but if you move it, I'm right-clicking on my mouse, and you can do a mouse look, but it's kind of like well above your body. It's probably, you know, 15 feet above your body, so it's kind of an odd camera angle. So then if I hit F9, this is where I usually play right here. I know it looks kind of weird right now, but if you were to hit the delete key, I think is what it's default to, it pans back. And then I right click and I move up on my mouse, and then it's kind of perfect because then you can tilt the camera up and down a little bit, and then you're running around and you can actually, you know, adjust that as you're running so you can see better. But I can see my character, I can see what's, you know, right directly in front of me, and then I can see everything that's out in front of me up ahead too. So that's about it. That's the camera angle, the UIs, how to manipulate them, change the opacity of the windows, and kind of setting up the basic keys. So hopefully this helps you get started a little bit and makes things a little bit more sensible, because when you do open it up on your first time, it's scattered all over the place. But once you get this down, it's pretty quick and easy after you've done your first couple characters. And you will have a first couple characters. This will get much easier. So once again, hope it helped. This is Weary Bard. I think I'm going to end it here, and then our next ones we'll be talking about, we're going to be getting into creating characters, specific class race combos, and the details of how to set them up. So if you like these videos, let me know in the comments, give me that thumbs up, and hey, hit subscribe to my channel, and that's going to let you know when new videos come up every time. So Weary Bard out for now. Y'all have a great time gaming, great time with EverQuest here on Project 1999, and hey, be safe and take care of each other.